Hey there, and we're back with another lesson. We're going to start by showing a couple of other methods available from the random module, and then we'll be showcasing a Magic 8 Ball simulator. Now, if you've not seen a Magic 8 Ball, it's basically a toy that you ask a question, you give it a shake, and then it displays one answer at random from several choices. Okay, so let's dive into the Python shell here and let's import the random module. Now, a few lessons ago we saw random.randint. Just to remind ourselves, that takes two arguments and it returns an integer between the two, and both arguments are inclusive. So in this case we could get 1 or 10, or obviously anything in between. Now there's a slightly different method available, which is randrange. Now this takes just one argument and it'll return an integer between 0 and 1 less than the number you give it. So in this case, because we're giving it 2, it's going to return either 0 or 1. So that would obviously be perfect for a coin toss there. And remember, randrange, the range function we saw a short while ago, when we gave the endpoint argument to that function, that was exclusive as well. So this works in exactly the same way. So hopefully that will help you remember that. And another good thing about having a method that returns a number between 0 and the number you give it is that ties in with our sequencing, our indexing in strings and lists, and also in other sequences that we've not seen before. So let's use randrange to return a random item from a list. So let's set up just a basic list of numbers. Let's just do 1 to 9. And then we can get a random item back by, instead of giving an actual index number here, we'll call random.randrange. And as an argument to that, we'll give it the length of the list. So len of nums. Right, so in this case, random.randrange is going to return an integer between 0 and 8, and that corresponds to the indexes of the items in the list. So there's no danger of getting an index out of range error at all there. You can see that. Now that obviously works fine. Thankfully though, Python gives us a much easier method to basically do the same thing here, and it's random.choice. So random.choice again takes one argument, and the argument doesn't have to be a list. We could give it, for example, a string, and it would return just a random character from the string. But in this case, because we're giving it a list, it's going to give us a random item from the list. So anything between 1 and 9 here. Right, I think I can probably stop that now. Okay, so that's the new information we're going to need for our Magic 8 Ball program, so we can get cracking with that. I'm just going to come out of the Python shell. Now, instead of actually typing this during the video, I've prepared it in advance. The reason being it's a bit longer than anything else we've done, and I don't want the video to be half an hour long. The main reason it's a bit longer is just because we've got two lists here, So let me just talk you through the program from the top. So line 1, we're just importing the random module for obvious reasons, and also the time module. We're just going to use that similarly to how we used it in the coin toss program, just basically to get the program to stop for a period of time before proceeding. So we basically ask the user to, or invite the user to put in a question there. You can obviously mess around with the exact text here, and then we assign the user's input to a variable called question. Now on line 7, I think this is a nice touch, the Magic 8 Ball checks if the last character in the question, if it's not equal to a question mark, it basically tells the user off for not including it. This Magic 8 Ball's got a bit of an attitude, obviously. Now, just to explain the two lists here, this one, working thoughts, after you ask the question, it's basically going to display 2 random items from this first list here. Okay, and then it's going to decide a random item from this list, which is basically the answer to the question, the responses, and then finally it displays the answer there. Right, so let's just run it a couple of times. Let me just check if I've got the 8 ball in this. Yeah, there we go. That's ls for list. Now that won't work on Windows command prompt. You would do dir would be the equivalent there. So 8ball.py. Right, so let's think of a question. Let's just ask, will I be president? And let's miss out the question mark here. Right, so I'll have your answer soon. Oh, that's quite nasty. I am not sure, so after waiting for that, it doesn't even give us the answer. Excellent. Right, let's ask something now and include the question mark, just to make sure that that part of the program works. And it does. So we're all on tenterhooks for the answer here. This Magic 8 Ball is terrible. Okay, so obviously you can mess around with this, put whatever you want in either of the two lists, mess around with this random element. Remember, random.random gives a number between 0 and 1. So obviously by multiplying it by 6, just under 6 seconds is going to be the maximum pause time during any of these 3 lines of code here. Okay, so I hope that was fun, and I will see you in the next lesson. Bye bye now.